So what's your name?
My name is Tom Bruce.
Where are you from?
I am originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but I live here in Dane, Wisconsin now.
Okay.
So I've been here up in this area for the last 40 years.
And how long have you been a member of Chapel Valley?
I've been a member of Chapel Valley since 2007. I've been a healthy guy. Never had any major health concerns whatsoever. I had not been to the doctor for probably over 30 years, maybe even 40, since I was younger. So I've just been a healthy guy. I've always thought I was eating well. Always thought that, I never had any symptoms of any sort and whatnot until one day, June 3rd of this year. I started having some chest pain. It was like they say, if you're having an elephant sitting on your chest, that's what I was having. I was having pain down both arms, my left and my right. I was having sweats. I was having just shortness of breath. Couldn't keep my breath, couldn't hold it, and I didn't know what was going on. But as being a guy, I didn't think anything of it. And all of a sudden, it's just like Karen and I were driving along, and I said to her, I said, I was doing the driving. I said, you got to take over here. You got to drive me home. She said, I don't feel well. She says, well, do you want to go to the doctor? And I said, no, I don't think it's anything serious. So we got home. I was home for about 15 minutes, and I went to the bathroom and started to throw up. And I was just throwing up clear liquid, just clear water. Didn't think anything of that, and 45 minutes later, I told Karen, I said, maybe we should go to the doctor. Let's go to the hospital. So she took me to the hospital, and on the way, she said, do you want to go to a clinic or do you want to go to the hospital? I said, let's go to the hospital. Okay, go to the emergency room. And went to the emergency room. She dropped me off. I walked in. There's about 15 other people in there waiting to be taken care of, and I went up to the front desk and told the gentleman what was happening. He said, have a seat, I'll be with you in just a moment. He went back to the back room. He came back out and says, come on in. And he had set me up with doing an EKG, checking my heart. He said, okay, you can go back out into the waiting room. I'll be with you after I show the doctor this. He then went to show the doctor, and I'm sitting there. Karen came in, said, what are they doing? I said, well, they did an EKG on me. And she says, okay, so I got to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. So she went to the bathroom. He comes around the corner with a wheelchair just running. And he says, you got to go. So he put me in a wheelchair, took me back to one of the rooms, and there was like 6 people there waiting for me. The doctor said to me, he said, Tom, he says, you're having a major heart attack right now. So they were taking off my clothes. An X-ray machine was coming in. They were putting IVs in my hands, by my arms and stuff. They were giving me all kinds of drugs, pills and injections. The cardiologist had come down from upstairs. He says, okay, he's got to go upstairs. And they told him, he said, well, he's not done yet. We're still working on him. And he just sat there for about 30 seconds to a minute. And you could just see the urgency on his face. And after a minute, he just said, no, he's going now. He says, well, he hasn't signed his release form. He doesn't have to sign a release form. He's going upstairs. So they took me upstairs right away. And as I'm going into this room, they said, we're going to start doing a lot of things on you. And after they said that, everything went dark. I was out. Next thing I knew, I woke up in the intensive care unit. And they were taking care of me, and the doctor had come down, and he had said we had to put 2 stents into one of my arteries, and the other 3 major arteries one was 100% blocked, one was 90% blocked, and the other one was 70 to 80% blocked, and they could not put stents in them because of the blockages. So I was on this one artery. That's as much as I knew at the time, so the next 4 days I was in the hospital. They were taking care of me and whatnot. And the hospital is not someplace you go to rest, because every hour or 2 hours they're either waking you up and doing something to you. In fact, I remember the first night Karen spent the night with me, and I told her, I said, why don't you just go home? She says, no, I'm going to stay here. She should have went home because they were in there all the time, constantly, running tests on me and doing things and so forth. So, they had taken care of me. One of the things they wanted me to do, the cardiologist would come in and he explained to me, he says, you're going to be going into cardiac rehab, doing a lot of exercise. We want you to work out. We want you to get your heart healthy again. But they never told me exactly what was really wrong, other than that I had the 2 stents in the 1 artery. So, I did what they had asked me to do. And one of the things I did learn too is that I was also diabetic. My blood sugar was at 438. My A1C test came out to 12.9. The average for blood sugar is 100, and the average for an A1C is 5.0. So I was very high on those. They had set up a time to see a surgeon, a heart surgeon, and that was like 3 weeks down the road. So in the meantime, I am going, doing my cardiac rehab. I had a few appointments in between to see the cardiologist and stuff. They were checking things, doing other tests and whatnot. And one of the tests, I didn't know what it was for, but I could see that it was, I can't even pronounce what the test was. And I didn't even know what it was until just a couple weeks ago. And I'll go into that a little bit more. But we had gone to prayer, going to prayer and whatnot, and just giving everything over to God. I was not nervous about this. I did not have any fear about this. I knew that I was being taken care of. Went to the surgeon on June 28th. That was about 25 days after my heart attack. While I was there, Karen and I were both there, after being checked over by nurses and stuff like that. He came in, the surgeon came in, and he had this very serious look on his face. And he told me that I had a major heart attack, and I probably had 4 heart attacks beforehand, but didn't know that I had them. And there was a lot of major damage to my heart. My heart was working at only 15 to 20% at the time. It was just a small part of the lower part of the heart that was actually doing all the work, but it was also the most important part of the heart. But that was what was keeping me alive. And he said that I would have to have surgery, but because there was so much damage to the heart, they couldn't do surgery. So surgery was out. Even if they could do surgery, my blood sugar was so high that if they opened me up, I wouldn't be able to heal properly, so they couldn't do the surgery because of that. And what he wanted to do was have me go continue with my cardiac rehab. So I did that. I would do that 3 times a week, and then during the other days I'd be going for walks and whatnot in order to keep up the exercise and keep exercising the heart. He had also told me that I had up to a 30% chance of having another heart attack within the first year from the major event that I had. And if I had that heart attack, that I would probably pass away. After our first meeting with him, Karen and I did come back home and we prayed to the Lord, asking for healing. We also commanded the heart to heal. And that's why we feel the heart started to restore itself, because God was at work. So we stood on Mark 11:24, and if you don't mind, I'm going to read that for you, just a short verse. It does say, "Therefore I say to you, whatever things you ask when you pray, believe that you receive them and you will have them." And that's what we did. We stood on that, and we believed it was already done. So I continued to do my rehab, and every once in a while I have a test of some sort done for the doctors. And when I went in to see him again about 3 weeks later, he came in, had a little smirk on his face, and he wasn't like that before. He had said that my heart had gone from 15 to 20% up to 40 to 45%. So he couldn't understand why it happened, because all his heart muscle was basically dead. And well, we had told him, so we've been praying for the heart to restore itself. And he is Pakistani, so I knew he wasn't Christian just by the way he was talking and so forth. But anyways, my heart was somewhat restored, and my blood sugar was down to approximately 140. and my A1C was down to 7 to 8, which then they could do surgery. So he wanted to do the surgery as soon as he could. And we said, well, we really can't do that right now because I wanted to go to a healing conference out in Woodland Park, Colorado, to the Andrew Womack Ministries. So we went out to Andrew Womack's ministry. And we got out there and we drove up to a small town that we were staying at. And we were starting walking around because it was the day before the conference was starting, and I was having a problem breathing because it was up quite a bit higher. We're at like 7,000 feet elevation, and I was just having a hard time breathing, so I'd have to rest every now and then. It was just a little bit harder. So we started the conference on that Tuesday, and one of the first things I did is I went up for prayer, and the woman that prayed over me, she was very good. She was very nice. It was an awesome prayer. So I went back, went through the conference, and about the third day, I went back up for prayer again. And this time, things were a little bit different. After the prayer, I knew something changed. I knew that I just had this feeling that something was different. So I had gone back and sat down with Karen, and she said, your voice is much better, or much stronger than it was before. And she said, she was also holding my hand, your hands are much warmer, And I said, I think something happened, And then that night, after the conference was over that evening, we were waiting for the buses to take us back to our car in the parking lot. And I said, why don't we just walk? It was about a half-mile walk. And I was breathing like I never was able to breathe before. It was just very, very good. So we knew that something happened. We knew that God was at work. So we came back home, and that Monday I went to work, and I decided to give the surgeon's office a call. And I asked them if they'd do another echocardiogram for me. And they said yes, they would. And I met him there. He was in the room while they were doing it. He wanted to watch, make sure, want to take a look and see what's going on. He said, your heart is doing really, really well. But I still had some blockages, And he said in order to prevent another heart attack, I'd have to still have the surgery. So we had the surgery scheduled for the following Tuesday, August 28th. And so that Tuesday morning, got up at 4 o'clock, had to be there at 5. And, they prepped me and got me ready and whatnot. And I was at total peace. I know I've talked to a lot of people in the rehab area, and a lot of those people were nervous, and they're still nervous about, what they had done and whatnot. And but I was just at total peace. I knew that I was going to be okay. So I had the cardiologist, the anesthesiologist came in, asked me a few questions, asked me if I had any questions for him, and I said, not really. I was just thinking, and I didn't say it out loud. I was just thinking, don't wake me up in the middle of this thing. But I didn't say anything to him. He said, okay, good. And then the surgical nurse came in. She just said that, she would notify Karen of the steps that were going on and whatnot, keep her advised of how things were going. And then my heart surgeon came in. He said, your heart is totally restored. I can't explain that. But we're just doing this as a preventative so we don't have another heart attack and whatnot. You're going to live a lot of years. So after this is done, so going in, one of my goals was I wanted to see this operation room. I wanted to take a look at the surgical room, and I was about halfway in through that door, and then I was gone. I was out. Don't know how they did it, when they did it, but I was out cold. Next thing I woke up in ICU again, intensive care unit, and they had awakened me, and there's nothing you can really do. You just lay there, and there's nothing you could say because you got tubes down your throat, and you're hooked up to all kinds of stuff, IVs and whatnot. And I remember Karen and Sue were in the room, and she had asked me how I was doing. Just gave her a thumbs up. And I remember the nurse telling her, she says, okay, you guys have to go. Two of you can come in every couple of minutes, or for a couple of minutes, and then you have to go. We have to take care of him. So that's what they did. My boys came in. Same thing, asked how I was doing. Gave him a thumbs up. I knew that God had taken care of me. Sorry. But anyways, after they had taken the tubes out and whatnot, and I was able to talk a little bit, and you can't talk a whole lot because it's just, you just can't do it, you know. Your vocal cords have been damaged a little bit and whatnot, but my cardiologist had come in and he had seen me. He says, "I can't believe how good you look." And he said, "Your heart was so weak that he was surprised to even see me." And every time he did come in, he just kept going. "I can't believe how good you look." My surgeon, the surgeon came in too, and he said, he said, "You were doing so good." This was on a Tuesday, and he says, "You ready to go home?" I said, "Not yet." I was too tired. But he was just kidding with me, and he said I'd be in the hospital for probably 5 to 7 days. In fact, my surgery was supposed to take 4 to 6 hours, and it only took 3. And I remember the boys telling me that Mom had gotten a call from the nurse saying, well, they're just, they're opening him up and whatnot. It'll be quite a while before, you see him and whatnot. So, but it was 3 hours. The doctor came walking down the hall, and they got kind of nervous, the boys did, and they told Mom that the surgeon's coming. And she saw him, and she knew right away that things were really good, and that things were going to be okay. And he said, he came up, he says, everything went really, really well, not a problem in the world. Everything went real good. So you'll be able to see him in a little while. So I did, saw him in the ICU. So I just, I'm very thankful for what they did, but I'm more thankful for what the Lord had done for me, bringing me through this. So he had done all that he had promised, in his word. It's all taken care of. So all you have to do is believe what you pray for, and he'll take care of the rest. So it was good. Everything went well. I was out of the hospital in 3 days rather than having to be there for 5 or 7. They couldn't believe how well I was doing, but we knew how well I was doing because of what the Lord did for me. So he did a really, really good job. And just want you to know that after I got home, one of the things they did while I was in the hospital for the heart attack is they had me go on a Mediterranean diet, which is a low sodium, low carb diet. And they said they wanted to do that to help bring my fats down, and I was on a lot of drugs and things like that to help do that too. One of the things that once we were home, Karen was doing a lot of prayer and whatnot. We'd speak to my heart every day, even while I was home. Just thank you for being whole, and thank the Lord for healing me. She kept hearing during her prayer time keto, and she couldn't understand what that meant, keto. So I started going back to church probably about the 4th week after I was home, and she was talking to one of our parishioners there, Joe, and Joe said, "Hey, I got something for you and Tom." And he pulled out this book called The Keto Diet, and boom, right away. It was just a confirmation of what Karen was hearing. She didn't know what keto meant until she got this keto book. And it was basically saying that, I should be going on the keto diet rather than the Mediterranean diet. So I had started that diet, the keto diet. And during the meantime, I had a lipid test done, which tests all your LDL and your HDL, and then also your cholesterol and triglycerides. So I got the report back, and everything was down where it was supposed to be, except for my HDL. My HDL had gone down way too low. That's the good cholesterol. So it's like, we want you to start the keto diet. Well, another confirmation that I'm supposed to be on this keto diet. Well, it's too late. I said, I've already been on it for 2 weeks. So another thing that the Lord had done for me during that time. So it was just a confirmation. The Lord using certain things and using people like Joe to just confirm what the Lord was trying to tell us. And also, my blood sugars kept going down too after I changed my diet. So it kept going down, and in fact, it would go down so low that it had to adjust my my medication levels for insulin and whatever other diabetes drugs I was on. But it got to a point where it was so low that the doctors released me from that, saying that I no longer was diabetic. So they tell you at the beginning when you are diabetic that you'll be on insulin for the rest of your life. And I want you to know that that's not true. You can control insulin through diet. And it's just watching your sugar, watching what you're eating. In fact, the keto diet is a very low carb diet. It's like 20 carbs a day. It doesn't give you a whole lot of food or no breads, no sugars, none of that kind of stuff. You can eat certain vegetables. A lot of vegetables you can't eat because your carbs are up too high. But what it does is carbs create sugar, and sugar in your body is not good. So that's what causes causes you to become a diabetic. So I am no longer a type 2 diabetic. I am healed from that also. So heart disease and diabetes are two of the largest diseases in this country, and you can overcome both of those through the Lord. Just listen to what He's got to tell you. One of the things we did after we found out that the heart was dead, or one of the things I did, and Karen had mentioned you should do this, and I did, was to read healing scriptures every day. Sometimes it'd be 1 or 2, sometimes it'd be 5, 6, 7, 8, but I was reading them every day. And you let those scriptures get down into your heart, and it doesn't matter if it's a health issue or if it's a financial issue, if it's a relationship issue, it doesn't matter. You can find those scriptures in the Bible, and if you read those scriptures and let them get into your heart and just pray to the Lord, He'll take care of that for you. He'll answer you, He'll give you the answers that you need. So that's what it just. Trust in the Lord, let Him take care of you. Give Him your problems, let Him solve them for you, and He'll take care of you.